Oh, just give me a second to catch my breath here. Okay. Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora, and welcome back to my blind playthrough of Dark Souls 3, Ashes of Ariandel. This is episode number 8, I believe, being recorded on Friday the 28th of October. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, whenever it is you find yourself watching this. Okay, so we've got lots to talk about, a lot of stuff to talk about. So first and foremost, Bam Bam has not been retired, but he has locked himself in a room, and he said that only Zhuangguo will understand, and Zhuangguo hasn't played Dark Souls 3 in quite some time, so he's feeling rather lonely and abandoned, so he won't be back until Zhuangguo makes his return to Dark Souls 3. Second, I suppose it's fitting that, yeah, I decided first that I would use my Aegon of Astora build, and this build is actually in New Game Plus, as opposed to just New Game, like we were fighting her with Bam Bam. But I determined after a couple of fights with my Refined Longsword plus 10, I infused it with Carthus Rouge, and discovered that bleed seems to affect her a little bit, more than any other resin I've tried. So I decided, I remembered Cassidy talking about using the Carthus Curved Sword and how OP it is if you upgrade it and infuse it with bleed, so that's exactly what I did. And yeah, kind of surprisingly, I didn't expect that we'd get it on the first shot. On the first shot, after having done that, after having switched to this weapon, we beat the boss. The other thing I was going to try and do was to try and heal our summon friend, or our summon NPC summon friend, in between the second and the third stages of the fight, or phases of the fight. But ultimately, just wasn't able to do that because I realized I actually didn't have any chimes capable of casting heal, and it probably wouldn't have made that much of a difference anyway. But so what I did instead was I just tried to be as aggressive as possible and stayed on her as best as I could. And he actually survived to the end, so I was, yeah, quite surprised by it. Second, it appears as though, and I know we still have a soul to read, so we're not going to do that until I finish just sort of getting out all the things I've been thinking about while fighting this gosh darn boss over and over and over and over again. And that is, it appears as though Frida was the other Ash. That she was chosen Ash, and she came here and made this sort of her home. The second thing is that we can still see the blood arising out of her death in the first stage. And Ariandel used that blood to rekindle his flame, and then after his death, he said, "When the ashes were two, the flame alighteth." So it seems like we were at the center of some sort of ritual intended to relight whatever this flame is. There was a mention somewhere, and there are actually a couple of item descriptions I didn't read, but I meant to. The first is, oh, I don't have them on this build. Okay, we have them on Bam Bam. It's one of the great arrows that are used by the Millwood Knights, and it refers to an abyss dragon, which I thought was very interesting. That the archers, they use their great bows to slay abyss dragons. Or the Abyss Dragon, I believe it said. But what's funny is that if you look at the item description for the Calamity Ring, which is very heavily associated with the only Abyss Dragon that we've ever really known, and that is to say Calamite, that, yeah, it doesn't describe Calamite as an Abyss Dragon at all. So I don't know if that's a different dragon, if there's an additional boss fight that we've yet to do that involves fighting the Abyss Dragons. For some reason I doubt it, but I would be, of course, very, very happy to discover that there's still more to the DLC. Oh, I thought for a second that we were touching this bloodstain as opposed to that bloodstain. But yeah, so she was the Chosen Ash, and she appears, so when I was testing out this build at the outset, before I actually got the Karthus sword to work and all that, or Karthus sword upgraded, she mentions, "Thou art a Lord of Londor," and that we have, if you have the required level of Hollowing, she mentions something to the effect of, "Thou art a Lord of Londor, and you have your own subjects to guide, so get out of here." And she also mentions that Yuria surely awaits thee. So I thought that that was very, very cool, and I wonder if there are any other types of variations out there, but I for some reason doubt it. And by way of a correction, I said that in the Lord of Hollows ending, that there are a total of 3 women who are dressed just like Yuria. I went back and I looked at it, and I could be wrong, but I only spotted 2, which tells me that Frida is herself the third of those, the sisters who founded the Sable Church of Londor. And this is, I think, supported by the dialogue where she says, you know, "Surely Yuria awaits thee." And my guess for who Elfrida is, and that is the person that night, the person that Sir Wilhelm mentioned when he died. He said, I think he said something to the effect of, "Lady or Sister Elfrida, I failed you, I'm sorry."
Forgive me, my lady. I swore an oath, but I have failed you. Lady Elfrida.
And at first I was just very confused, because I thought maybe it referred to the white-haired woman who was mentioned here, and I suppose it still could, but I think it's more likely that Elfrida is the third of the 3 Londor sisters. So the first being Yuria, the second being Frida, and the third being Elfrida. So I don't know why he would have mentioned having failed her instead of Frida herself. But I don't know. So part of some grand Londor plan, I guess? Another thing I really liked about this boss fight is how its gameplay incorporates several of the central themes of the Dark Souls games. In particular, we learned in the introduction to Dark Souls 1 that with fire came disparity, and with it heat and cold, life and death, light and dark. So the heat and cold one was especially relevant here, and especially in the second phase, where the bosses, one of the bosses is using cold attacks and the other one is using fire attacks, ice and fire. It's sort of Game of Thrones-esque, but what I found most fascinating about that is in how both of the bosses in the second phase shared the exact same life bar. And that is perfectly consistent with this whole idea of with fire came disparity, because thinking back to something that King Vendrick says in Dark Souls 2, that shadow is not cast but born of fire, and that the brighter the flame, the deeper the shadow. It's the same idea of this sort of yin and yang balance between two things, a binary opposition that sort of waxes and wanes from one side to the next.
Fire came to be, and with it, disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, light and dark. Dark was seen as a curse. Shadow is not cast, but born of fire. And the brighter the flame, the deeper the shadow. Flame, oh, flame. As flame rises, so does it fade. Such is the way of things. With fire, they say, a true king can harness the curse. But I am no king. I am more fit to be a jester.
And so in that context, it makes absolutely perfect sense that the boss in the second phase would have had only a single life bar. So I think that's it. I feel like there's one or two other things I've been wanting to talk about, but I didn't want to just keep fighting the boss and dying, because we already had a 40-minute episode of that, and I didn't want, it was just really awkward trying to focus on the fight while also doing commentary at the same time, especially when I was getting my butt kicked so thoroughly. But yeah, we died to the boss something like 20 times in New Game, and only like twice or 3 times in New Game Plus, so good job, Aegon, I guess, and sorry, Bam Bam, that you just couldn't handle it. Alright, so I don't want to light that bonfire, because I feel like its placement is dangerously close to where this trail of blood is, and that there might be some consequences there. So yeah, the entire boss room is still on fire, but let's check out the soul. Soul of Sister Frida, one of the twisted souls steeped in strength. Frida was the first Ash to enter the painting, but together with the good father, they chose rot over fire. So yeah, I know it's not a huge thing because all the signs were there and it was pretty obvious, but I'm pleased that at least I figured that out. Look carefully, try tail. Okay, we're gonna go see if the painter lady is there. Actually, let's light the bonfire first. Screw it. I was so worried after we killed her when I started celebrating. I was so worried there was gonna be another phase. Oh, that would have been a nightmare. But yeah, shout out to Cassidy for putting the idea in my mind to use the Carthosaur, because I think that worked out quite well. She is here. Aww, and she's dangling her feet. Wow, she's just a little kid. She's only a little kid. I thought she was older than that. Wow. So no wonder she's swinging her feet. Yeah, the animations. From has really stepped up their game as far as animations go. Especially as she's describing the canvas, and she sort of just extends her arms outwards as she's describing it, and she's clearly imagining it in her mind.
I can hear the fire crackle, and soon I will see it. My thanks, Ashen One. I will finish the painting of a cold, dark, and very gentle place, so that it might make a home for someone someday. My
No, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, well, good job, friend. So I guess we gave her the flame. And so further to what I was saying a couple episodes ago, that yeah, it's no surprise that all of these paintings seem to depict her as sort of being on fire, because she was the one who we needed to kill in order to give the flame to the painter, whose name I still am unsure of. Yeah, again, it could be Elfrida herself, but don't really know. I thought if we sat at the bonfire, we might trigger an item to spawn or something. So let's look at the soul again. I don't know that there's another soul in the game that looks like that. Well, it's very clearly a unique one, but I mean, not a single soul, I don't think, that even resembles it. This has got a very curious sort of asymmetrical shape, whereas the rest of them are at least to some degree symmetrical. But this one is very lopsided. No, thought there was something there. So I don't know if this is just another... Oh. Supposed to just be another allusion to how everything is rotting? Let's go see if there's anything going on at Firelink. Doesn't look that way. Rose of Ariandel, a flail used by the bulbous father of the painted world to shred his own skin, producing blood to appease the flame. Both a weapon and a miracle catalyst. Ariandel, being the restorer of the painted world, knew that it was painted with blood, and only blood could protect the secret. Skill Awakening. Violently flail oneself to trigger an awakening that temporarily boosts the strength of miracles, just as the good father used the rose himself. Frida's Great Scythe. A great scythe wielded by Sister... Whoa! Elfrida? What? With a curved blade thinly coated by the painted world frost that easily breaks the guard of shields. In the painting, the scythe is a symbol of a long-lost home, possibly explaining Elfrida's preference for it. So did they just use different names accidentally here? Like, was Elfrida originally her name? Because it talks over and over about Sister Elfrida, but then it only mentions Frida's Great Scythe. I don't know. Unless, again, I'm right in speculating that this is perhaps her sister's weapon? I guess we should go talk to Yuria and see if she has anything to say. Conjure a magic bladed support scythe into the left hand while the great scythe remains in the right, a stance derived from Elfrida's former swordsmanship. Use a normal attack to leap forward and swing twice, or strong attack to coat the earth with running frost.
Now.
I don't even know. I'm confused. Because that seems like... I know FromSoft has done some boneheaded things before, but that seems way too boneheaded for that to be a mistake.
Might that soul be... Nay, never mind. It belongs to a woman from Londor. To provide succor for the Lord of Hollows surely would bring her much honor. In return, thou needst only do her a small kindness. Remember those who stayed by her to the end, in the shadows cast by fire.
Cool. Very cool. Wow, okay.
Our lord and liege, knowest thou of a maid named Anri? She a fool. Our lord, no, she a fool.
Oh man, now I want to see this quest all the way through to the completion to see if maybe she's... Maybe if she's at the... as part of the ending or something.
Till we meet again. May the dark sigil guide thee.
So I'm assuming the kindness that she mentions is just basically, yeah, getting the Lord of Hollows ending. And she's just trying to give us more reason to do it. But it's funny that she didn't mention that that was her sister.
Speak thy desire, honorable Lord of Hollows. Our Lord at no
Alright. Let's go back and see if our painter has finished her painting. It's very interesting that this place is still on fire.
My thanks, Ashen One. I can almost see the flame. Soon, Uncle Gale will bring me the pigment. I wonder if he has found it. The dark soul of man.
Who is Uncle Gale? Who is he?
I wonder if Uncle Gale has found it. The dark soul of man.
Oh man. I was thinking that Uncle Gale might have been this guy. The guy who originally lured us into the painting, but... yeah, he's obviously not here. So I don't know.
My very own home now.
So I'm pretty sure it is this guy who was saying that. At least based on the directionality, because I'm still wearing headphones, based on the directionality when I was turning left and right as he was talking. So, in order to defeat the boss, after Bam Bam locked himself in a room and said that his weapon was too slow to deal with the boss, and that he missed Zhuangguo, his partner in crime, I just basically did a speed run through the entire area until we got to the boss. So, in the interest of ensuring that we're not missing an Uncle Gale somewhere, we're gonna go through the area again. I'm not gonna show you everything, but I will, yeah. I will fade through to different parts of interest as I if I discover anything that I missed the first time around. Okay, so I'm standing in the same spot where that big dog was last time. But it doesn't appear to be here. And I do recall that when we first killed, quote-unquote, killed the big wolf, the great wolf rather, not the big dog, great wolf, that I distinctly recall that thinking that it should have had because we only got it down to like 75% of its HP before it died. So I distinctly recall thinking, why did it die so soon? And it appears as though it didn't actually die, although it had like a death animation, but we only took off something like 25% of its HP. But that got me thinking that, yeah, maybe we hadn't killed it, and it seems as though it is possibly the same Great Wolf, so that would actually kind of make sense. I felt like we were at some point going to find our way to the top of that tower, but it doesn't look like we are. Oh, we should be able to. Because it has a plank, just like the one in the Painted World. Oh, okay. Alright, so we gotta try another route down the tree branches. Because we're clearly missing something there. Okay, so we need to find our way to that tower. The top of it. I'm also seeing a ladder there that I'm not sure we followed. Gosh darn it, wow. We seem to have missed a lot of stuff, but part of it is the fact that we switched builds recently. And that some of this stuff we may have, in fact, gotten with Bam Bam, but not yet with this Aegon build. So where's this ladder that I saw? Oh, it's there. So I'm gonna assume we need to climb up. Alright. Oh, but either way, this is the path to the settlement. So we're in the wrong place. Gosh darn it. We need to break the bridge and then climb down it. And silly me, you only actually need to hit the bridge once. Or for whatever reason, when I was hitting it with Bam Bam, I was hitting it like 3 or 4 times before accepting that it was actually gonna break. Okay, so how the heck do we get to the top of that tower? Where even is it? That's the Millwood Tower over there. No! That was almost very bad. Okay, I think that's pointless. Thank you. That's exactly where we needed to go. Follower's Saber. Interesting. Don't believe we got that last time. Oh, this is where we just were. Oh, unless... Rip. I don't feel bad about that at all. Oh, there's the ladder. I think we're going in the right spot. Oh, no. Fuck. Never mind. Oh, this is where we just came from. I'm sort of at a loss. Unless we go up there. But I think that's also just another alternate path from the start. It's possible that there's also another set of tree branches that I'm missing that we're supposed to use to climb up to the tower, but I don't know where the heck that would be. So, I think at least I have an inkling of where it is that we need to go in order to access that tower. Which I suspect if we're to find Father or Uncle Gale anywhere, it will be there. And where we need to go is right here. Out that door, and then down the branches until we reach the top of this structure here. The only problem is I haven't the faintest clue where that door is. But if I had to guess based on where it's positioned, I would probably place it within that place with all the bugs. So we're very consciously playing online in hopes that we see a message somewhere that indicates an illusory wall or something like that, because I seem to recall us killing basically all of the bugs in that place, and yet still not finding a doorway beyond the two that I'm certain we traveled through. Because yeah, it's right under there. It's right under that structure. So I was thinking that we had to... that it was somewhere that I had missed previously, but... this message here says... like a dream, indeed. Yeah, we have to find that door, because... you know, I feel like we're not done yet. Or we shouldn't be anyway. We got all those items down there with Bam Bam, so we're not going to bother. It's Millwood stuff, if I recall correctly. Oh god, this place creeps me out. Okay, I see messages next to the switch. As well as... I don't know if that's quite in the correct position, but it's possible that there's a tunnel or something that would lead us to it. Do we have any alluring skulls? Only one. We better make it count then. Yes! Oh, I'm gonna rate that message so hard in a second. Not that we really needed that. It looks like there's another illusory wall there. Yeah, see, this points to the enormous challenge of playing online when you're doing, or of not playing online when you're doing something blind. Don't have the benefit of community tips. Thank you, those of you who left messages there, very kindly, very, very kindly. Because I was about ready to give up, because I didn't anticipate this taking quite so long. And it's fine if there's more content, but if I'm just struggling with the same content. Ha ha ha. Yeah, if I'm just struggling with the same content, it gets really frustrating knowing that, yeah, I have so much other stuff. So many other personal responsibilities to attend to. And I'm still getting, yeah, my butt kicked by same enemies time and again. I figured that wasn't likely to be the path, but I thought I'd check it out anyway. I feel really good though to have teased this out, and I guess credit as well to FromSoft for making it, you know, difficult to find secrets, but not impossible. Because yeah, I checked so many different spots, just trying to figure out where I would need to go. And then I spotted that door, and it was like, that has to be it. Thankfully, this one's not slippery. But yeah, definitely shades of descending to Ash Lake here. Though it doesn't seem quite as tortuous. At least not yet. Yes! We did it! Pyromancer's parting flame. So this must be the flame that we need to show her. Unless we've already shown her the flame in the form of Frida's soul, I don't know. Yeah, down with you, corpse. Thank you, 6 Axes. The pyromancy flame of a livid pyromancer Dunnel. That attracts the echoes of death. When Dunnel lost his hideous spouse, he gave his own pyromancy flame as an offering, which transformed into a parting flame. Not long after, Dunnel became a mad spirit, damned to wander the lands. Release store of death echoes to gain a modest dose of Estus. So are we walking into a boss fight here? Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Floating chaos. Pyromancer Dunnel was fascinated by this ceremonial art employed by the clerics of the Smoldering Lake. Summons a fire-spitting chaos orb. Chaos burns away in the blink of an eye, but was the primordial life, born in the bed of chaos and a grievous symbol of Islith's sin. So there was an item description that mentioned something about a witch that we got our hands on earlier on. I've been wondering ever since whether Yeah, the Witches of Islith somehow figure into the storyline, and if so, how? But I'm not so sure. Is there an item to be grabbed? Yeah, this isn't quite the revelation I was expecting it to be. It's cool that we found something that we would have otherwise missed, but... Oh, man. But yeah, so I was right that this is basically the same platform upon which we fought, or chose not to fight, Priscilla in Dark Souls 1. And I want to plunge off the plank. But we're going to take a couple of precautions just to make sure that if it doesn't actually yield something, then we won't lose anything.
I wonder if Uncle the
Dark Soul of Man. So I am really beginning to think that we really do need to have beaten the game on this build, or at least to have braved the depths of Lothrop Castle, whatever that means, in order to proceed. Because unless that really is just it, and she's just sort of eventually going to paint a world, but then we don't actually get to see the outcome of it, which would be sorely disappointing, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because I wanted to see where they were going with that. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so to finish my thought from earlier about the witches, I was wondering not only whether the Witches of Islith had anything to do with it, but also whether this was perhaps another attempt to recreate the chaos. To recreate the First Flame in the same way that the Witches of Islith did, in order to... that resulted in the creation of the Bed of Chaos. And so I do wonder whether that was something that Ariandel was trying to do here himself. But yeah, not really sure. So there's one place that we've still not actually gone. And it's the second ladder, I think. I can't think of any other places. But I don't know whether we're supposed to access it from the top or the bottom. It looks like it's a shortcut exit. But from where? It doesn't really look like... I don't know. I really do not know. Unless I missed something behind the crabs. I might have missed something behind the crabs. That was a New Game Plus crabs. Sure make you work. Sure make you work for it. Probably not the best idea to use a bleed weapon on these women. So we're looking for a ladder. Headphones, I can hear her crying. Oh man, that is sad. I wonder whether it's just this one. Oh yeah, that's right, this is the unique one, so it must have just... Because I don't think I've heard any of the other ones crying. We read this before, but... One of the spells left behind by the young sorcerer Sullivan before leaving the painted world creates a cloud of near-freezing mist. Sullivan was born and raised inside the painting, yet had little use for his frigid homeland since he had not yet experienced loss. So was that tree crying over having lost Sullivan? Maybe? Because I might have missed it, but I don't believe I heard any of the other ones crying. Okay, if we don't find the ladder here, the next place we're going to look is the Millwood. Never mind, I think. How did I miss that? How did I miss that? Did I seriously grab the item and then just walk away? Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. That is so embarrassing. Certainly get quite the view from this ladder. You would definitely want to make sure that you're at full 100% energy before climbing up a ladder like this, because can you imagine how frightening that would be? My gosh. I can still remember when I worked at an 18-screen movie theater, climbing up from the projection booth to the roof, and it was like maybe a quarter this long and being just absolutely scared to death. And by scared to death, I don't mean actually scared to death. Of course, not literally speaking. So I suppose we'll see if it's an item we've already gotten on Bam Bam, and that maybe I'm just confused because, yeah, I took what basically amounted to a 2-day break after I first died to the boss so many times, which is something I would highly recommend to anyone watching this. If you're ever having a lot of trouble with the boss, just take a break, walk away from it. Oh, well, that's helpful, but not what we needed or wanted. Alright. Unless... No, that just leads us back up to the bridge. Alright, we need to go to the Millwood camp. Although I suppose it's also possible maybe the crow guy in the settlement is Uncle Gale. Yeah, let's try that. I can hear a crystal lizard. And again, I just basically booked it through this area on my way to the boss because I was just tired of fighting that boss with a build that, yeah, as I mentioned previously, just I was not I was not properly equipped in terms of friend? That was weird. Where did our friend go? Ah! Oh no! Sorry, friend, sorry! I'm so sorry! I didn't know it was you, I'm sorry! I'm sorry, can you forgive me, please? I'm sorry, friend.
Oh, my, thank you. I can hear the crackling from here. The sound of my home. The painting of Ariandel. Burning away. When the world rots, we set it afire for the sake of the next world. It's the one thing we do right, unlike those fools on the outside.
Okay, so I think that to some degree confirms at least part of what I argued in my cosmology treatise on the cosmology of Dark Souls 3, when I said that though the world appears to be ending, it seems like it would be much more like FromSoft to not have a world reaching its ultimate end and then have nothing after it, but to pave the way for the next world. For there to be a cycle of sorts, and that seems to be at least what is happening in this case, if not in the game in general.
When the world rots, it's the...
Okay, friend, I'm really, really sorry for hitting you. You sort of scared me. And... yeah. I just find it very curious that he moved, and why he moved, because he was sitting there previously. So he said he can already feel the world burning away. The question now becomes, does that mean we're done? Because I have no idea at what point we're supposed to be done with the DLC. He's like, two can play the bleed game, mister. Can they? Oh, there's stuff in the rafters. Okay, we missed that last time. We'll have to get that. Oh, shit. Thought these guys might have been friends, but I guess not. I was wondering whether there might be someone in the well, but it looks more like they just threw a bunch of bodies down there. That's bad. Well, I do apologize that really not much has happened in the last few episodes ever since we got to the boss. But yeah, I figured you all wouldn't just want me to say, okay, that's gonna do it, because I don't know where to go from here, so... Again, one of the problems with pre-recording a playthrough and doing it with minimal community involvement is that I don't have the opportunity to ask you what you'd like to see, and I sincerely apologize for that, but yeah, as I've mentioned, I need to get back to real-life things. As much fun as I've had making this playthrough. And I have had a lot of fun, and I hope you have as well. Oh, come on. Gosh darn it. I was expecting that to be something really good, or at least, if not really good, something really interesting. But I suppose not. So I feel really silly. I looked back at my footage, and Uncle Gale was the NPC summon. Very obviously, Slave Knight Gale. So, I still don't get the whole Frida Elfrida thing. That is still confusing the hell out of me, but... I'm at a loss as to whether or not to try and continue to find something else, but I'm at the point where, yeah, provided I'm not missing anything, then as much as this has been a wonderful, wonderful DLC, I feel like the closure is a little bit lacking. It doesn't need to be something like Old Hunters where there's a cutscene and you know, things like that, but still, I'd like to know what's happening beyond the assertion of that guy from the Corvian settlement that he can feel the rot burning away. But we're given really no indication that anything is happening beyond her sitting here and the boss room being on fire.
I wonder if Uncle Gale has found it. The dark soul of man.
Yeah, so... Slave Knight Gale, I do wonder now whether we'll find his summon sign elsewhere. But yeah, this playthrough has gone on long enough, and yeah, I'm not really sure if there's much else for me to show or do in this particular format. So, in keeping with what I said in the first episode of viewing this playthrough as a beginning rather than an end, I look forward to, at some point, whenever I have the time, doing a live stream of the DLC and exploring all the things I missed along with all of you out there. But, yeah, it has been an absolute pleasure, notwithstanding the sort of anticlimactic ending to this playthrough, and I hope that you agree. But, thank you all very, very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.